some of the students that have been most meaningful to me were not necessarily the ones scoring the highest marks all the time. I have one of the students, there are two students now, I just came to mind, two students that I would hire them any day of the week. I don't think any of them got first class in their degrees. One of them failed one of my units in his first year. Failed one of his units, and he had to repeat just that unit because we wouldn't allow him to progress to the second year. I was quite tough on him, but you know what? He hated the unit. He didn't like it, I tried to support him as much as I could. I said, you need to do it. You need to pass, and then you can forget about it if you don't need to use it. And he managed to succeed, and then he ended up with a master's here, never failing again a year. He actually was part of the team who went to the iMaking Design Challenge competition in London. So it's a competition I organize, and he was part of the best team when he was a repeating student. And another student I had, which was also a similar situation, he was struggling a bit. And at the end of the first year, he comes to me and says, how do I do to withdraw from from engineering? I want to go to economics. And I have this conversation with him, and I say, well, I think what's the problem? Oh, I don't think I like this very much. I think what I want to do is business. I said, well, you see, I think being an engineer is good, and you do an MBA and stuff like that. So you're still trying to test the waters. Then he appears in the second year. Halfway through, he goes, I want to step down. I don't like this. And he did it until the end.
and he kept repeating this process of not feeling like he didn't want to be there. But
and for me, what is really amazing about that is that what he's demonstrating to me is that even when things look a little bit adverse and against you, and you might not be enjoying, because that's real life. I wish I was working in the aerospace industry, but I started in the rolling stock in trains. So it's like you can't really choose that. Sometimes you can't choose what you do. Is to be able to demonstrate that they can succeed even when there are barriers and challenges ahead. And he became a good student as well. And I don't know what he's doing now. The other one is in touch with us. They are coming here for a talk. So he's coming here for a talk, the other one. The first one I talked about. But it's sometimes there are students that quite surprised. Oh, I have another one. It was not very. Oh, sorry, you can then cut down all this. He was a first year student, not very strong. Second year, I had another competition in units called engineering simulation. So what I did was they had to optimize a part from a car. I'd give them to them. They need to use a computer, and there were some target specs they need to do. And he was attending all the lab work, all the CAD labs. CAD means computer aided design, or CAE, computer aided engineering labs. So using software to do simulation based work. And he turns to me and says this to me, you think I'm the underdog, but I will win this competition.
Was it Al Pacino? It sounds like Al Pacino the way you're saying.
And he did.
Really?
He won. And he went later on. He was my final year project student. He did a stellar job. He's the type of student who, when he wants, he's the best.
Right.
When he doesn't care, he passes. I love that. I think that's really good. If I just, okay, I have to do it, not taking joy, I don't see the value, I'll do it to the bare minimum. If I'm really enjoying it, I'm going to be the best. And he was that. Really, really good. So there you are. Another example of someone who didn't finish with first class.
That sounds like a student who knows that they're there to do things because they want to learn things they're passionate about, as opposed to someone who just wants a certificate at the end that says 70 or above it.
Yeah.
Because I often find there's a distinction. Like, it bugs me no end when students say, what do I need to do to get a good mark on this or whatever? Yeah. Or, they're so transfixed sometimes on the assessment brief that they forget to learn in the semester before. It's like, you're here to learn. You're not here to just get a degree.
I agree. But that's if this goes on air, and if anyone watches this, or students in particular, I don't think having first class marks does necessarily make that difference. it could help, but I think it probably helps more to employers to see your extracurricular activities, your hobbies. So that when I first started writing CVs, I couldn't understand the hobbies things, and I never valued that. And now that I am actually looking to CVs, whatever, I don't want to see first class in mechanical engineering, first class in mechanical engineering. Well, who cares? I want to see, everybody has that when they are applying to. That's probably essential criteria is to have the degree. So I want to see the other stuff. What is it around that?
Who is the person?
Who is that makes you the person for me to want to recruit you. So what's the differentiating? Because you are applying for that position, essential condition, having the degree in engineering.
Is this recruiting for the university? Is what you're
even
talking
for
about?
university,
Yeah.
for example, I do a lot of recruitment. Yes, so you need to put there things that meet the criteria, obviously, because we have a person specification. But what is it that makes you being exciting? What are you giving to the business or the university that we don't have? Which is really difficult. It's really difficult to do, but I think that's you receive a pile of 50 CVs.
How do you differentiate them?
You have to be quick.
Yeah.
So motivation letters need to be written in a certain way that highlights certain stuff, and it's not just the first class degree that's going to. Obviously, I don't recommend students to have a third class degree.
Or just don't write it on your CV. Definitely.
That's probably try a bit harder.
But as you say, it's not necessarily. It's more of a sign of overcoming adversity that is inherent in everyone's journey through education. That if you come out of it with a good grade or whatever, it's just showing that you can deal with all that adversity and still bounce back and achieve something. I suppose. Yeah. It's not necessarily suggesting that you're going to be the best at that job or whatever in the real world.
And what I say is, if you are shortlisted, sometimes you could even tell a story. Why didn't you get the first class? Would be a question. And yes, it could be because I was busy doing their stuff, and that took me time, or because I planned to have, this was my target. If again, for me, that's the quality thing. If you say to me, my target is to have a third, and if you get the third and you don't fail, I think that's a pretty good outcome, because it's probably difficult to try to get the thirds and pass at the same time. How can you control that? Isn't it?
So you'd be impressed if someone achieved to land in the correct band.
If someone would say, my target is to be in this band without failing, and what you're then I think, wow, this is
what you're thinking is maybe because they're optimizing the amount of effort they put into their degree versus maybe they've got a job outside, or maybe they're a carer or a parent or whatever. They've optimized to the point where they know exactly the amount of effort they need to put into their degree to come out with a third.
Yeah, for me that's but that's probably you might disagree, or people watching might disagree.
No, it's
of course,
it's
debatable, obviously, but I think it's I think it's hard. It's probably harder to have that control of it's probably easier to try to get to 70 and then you get 40 because you thought you knew certain things that you actually don't know. So that's what will happen to me.
That's an interesting way of thinking about it.